Caribbean is taking over the cruise ship industry. It's not even a question anymore. We are not even halfway through 2024, and they are tossing out multiple major announcements for you to grab as much as you want of, like it's unguarded full-size name brand candy on Halloween night that you'd only see in rich neighborhoods. Meanwhile, you have the other cruise lines taking years to just put out one of these announcements that Royal Caribbean has put out. I gotta say, it has been absolutely amazing to watch. Royal Caribbean, they're absolute geniuses. I don't know what they got going on over there. However, we are going to talk about the details in case you missed anything that has been going on in Royal Caribbean news, because I gotta say, they must be stopped. So we're going to talk about it in this video. By the way, today's video is also sponsored by Factor, but more on that later. So we aren't going to dwell too much on what I've already spoken about on previous videos on how successful Royal Caribbean has been. However, for those that are just joining in, grab a snack. We are going to do a little overview, and then we'll get into what's happened as of late with Royal Caribbean in case you missed it. So we do know that Royal Caribbean has undoubtedly been successful over the past year. It'd be an understatement to say so. Of course, we've had the launch of Icon of the Seas. It got a lot of eyeballs on it. People that aren't even in the cruise space talking about Icon of the Seas. I was on that ship. Very successful launch. Then they launched the Hideaway Beach Club to more or less compete with Virgin Voyages, the adult-only cruise line. Of course, they got their adult-only beach club over in Bimini. Now Royal Caribbean has one in the private island in the Bahamas. Perfect Day at Coco Cay. Not to mention, they also have an adult-only area on board. They are launching multiple cruise ships in one single year, of course, out of which being Icon of the Seas. They also have Utopia of the Seas launching this summer in July. And then next year in 2025, they have another Icon class ship, Star of the Seas, which is highly anticipated. And I do believe it's probably by the time it launches, it is going to be completely sold out. Also, to bring in some international sports lovers, they have the backing of arguably one of the most famous athletes on earth, Lionel Messi, for all you soccer lovers out there. For the pet lovers, they even have a dog on the largest ship in the world. And let's say you don't want to be around kids. If you look at their premium product, that of course I'm talking about Celebrity Cruises, they also have Celebrity Cruises not only available for regular cruises, they are now doing the booze cruises, short 3 to 4 day, as I like to call them, party cruises. That way you can party with a little bit more of sophistication and potentially a crowd that are adults with less kids. Finally, for all of those out there that aren't fans of these mega ships that are coming out, there are somewhat confirmed rumors that Royal Caribbean is building a new class of ships known as the Discovery class to cater to those people out there that like being on smaller vessels. Now, with all of that in mind, before we get into the new material, I think we all can agree that pretty much goes after all of Royal Caribbean's competitors for the most part, with the exception of maybe the budget category. However, you do have an option where you can do a shorter cruise on a very popular cruise ship out of Miami, Freedom of the Seas. Even with all of this, I want to say progress, smooth sailing, if you will. Royal Caribbean has also announced 2 new products, 2 new batches of cookies in the oven, if you will. That is 2 beach clubs, one in Cozumel, Mexico, and the other one in Nassau, Bahamas. The one in Nassau will launch next year in 2025. The one in Cozumel will launch in 2026. If I were a betting man, I would imagine when we go to these destinations on the Royal Caribbean cruise, we're going to be doing a lot of eating, creating a food baby. Typically on a cruise, we say we're going to gain about 5 pounds per cruise. However, going to these destinations, you're probably going to gain 10 to 15 pounds. That's why for me, I got to make sure I'm eating right beforehand to give myself some kind of balance. That's why I'm happy to announce today's sponsor, Factor. Factor is a subscription-based meal delivery service that provides delicious and dietitian-designed meals that can be prepared in just minutes, saving you a lot of time. Factor is perfect for somebody with a busy lifestyle like me. Between planning and making videos, training my breakdancing for upcoming shows and competitions, and traveling, I'm always on the go. With Factor, I can skip out on all of those unnecessary and inconvenient trips to the grocery store that honestly nobody likes doing, and have fresh, never frozen meals ready in minutes. That way I can fuel my body properly and get back to cruising through my goals. Today I will be trying the spicy poblano beef bowl with roasted broccoli, rice, and scallion sour cream. To prepare my meal, I simply remove the Factor cover as well as the sour cream, since that obviously won't be going inside of the microwave. From there, I will poke holes in the plastic film, that way the food can vent and heat properly. Next up, my meal goes straight into the microwave for just 2 minutes. Once it's done, I pull it out and it's time to eat. The best part about my Factor meal is not only its ease in preparation and convenience, it's also extremely delicious. Anybody want some? Factor is also extremely flexible when it comes to your orders. You can order as much or as little food as you might consume. You can also reschedule or pause your orders as needed. If you want to give Factor a try, which I highly recommend, make sure you head to factor75.com or use the links in the description box below or pinned in the comment section. Use code SHIPLIFE50 to receive 50% off of your first Factor box. That's factor75.com, or use any of the links here in this video. Using code SHIPLIFE50 to receive 50% off of your first Factor box, plus 20% off of your next order. Factor, thank you for today's sponsorship. Now back to the video. Royal Caribbean is still pushing forward, I would argue very aggressively. Over the past couple months, there have been some developments. Like, for example, Royal Caribbean has now formed a partnership with Hard Rock Cafe and Casino, arguably one of the most famous casinos in the world. And you have to really think about what that means for the brand as a whole. Hard Rock, very popular. I have one here in Tampa. I promise you, it is never, ever empty. People are in there day and night spending all of their guap, their moolah, their monies. Imagine what a partnership with Royal Caribbean can be if they are giving those people, those customers in there that are losing all their money at the Hard Rock, a free cruise to then spend all of their money theoretically on the cruise. That is going to attract a brand new crowd, brand new demographic to cruising in there. It is going to continue to make buku bucks. So taking a glance at this Royal Caribbean situation as a whole, normally I would say there are pros and cons to everything. However, if you look at this from a business perspective, if you look at this from an industry perspective, personally, I think it's all good. And I can't even imagine the amount of money Royal Caribbean is making. They are rolling in some profits right now. I gotta be honest with all of you. I am this close to stopping everything that I'm doing and becoming a true influencer. Royal Caribbean, let me join your team. I will do and say whatever it is that you ask. I'm joking. Or am I? I do, however, think that all of this is going to set a standard for the cruise ship industry, whether it's for good or bad. If you've noticed already over the past year, a lot of cruise lines have been drastically raising their prices. Personally, I do believe it is just kind of from, let's say, the pandemic, where the cruise lines ended up losing millions, if not billions of dollars. And now that things are a lot more calmer since those days, they're trying to recuperate that money. However, you could make an argument that when you look at cruise lines like Royal Caribbean that are going out there and testing the market and seeing what people are paying, and then realizing, let's say in the form of Icon of the Seas, where to get on board in a standard balcony cabin was in the range of like $7,000 to $9,000, and people were selling out the ship, that now somewhat sets the precedence. It sets a standard to people that, well, the company anyway, that they can charge those prices and people are going to continue paying. Then the other lines look at that and say, hey, well, if we update this standard, that standard, they're also going to get to a point to where things are going to get significantly higher, which we have seen in the industry. I'm probably going to make a full video talking about this at some point, but we got to talk about, I guess what would be a trend, but it's more like a permanent trend going on with these private beach clubs and private islands that the cruise lines are now acquiring. Of course, we had Norwegian that is the true pioneer of that. However, the cruise lines have seen how profitable it is. And you look at the other lines, there are a lot of updates going on. Carnival has announced Celebration Key, or K. I know people are going to have an argument about that in the comment section, but they got a private area that they are launching also over in the Bahamas, which I know a lot of people are very excited about. You've also got other cruise lines like MSC. They are updating their private island over in the Bahamas, Ocean K, and a lot of people are excited to see that. Obviously, we are entering an era where the cruise lines, they want it all. Well, they want full control of the guest experience. From a business perspective and a lot of other perspectives, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the reality is that this is what's happening in this moment right now, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon, seeing as how even testing it out and what's been going on for the past couple years has been wildly successful. Finally, I do believe Royal Caribbean is doing what I like to call as monopolizing. They are trying to become either the Disney or Amazon of the cruise space, in which they have either partnerships or own a little piece of everything. Honestly, we all know there are going to be some deniers out there, but Royal Caribbean is definitely trying to have a strong hold on the industry. When people think of cruise ship, Royal Caribbean wants it to be them. They want to be America's cruise line. And if they continue going at this same pace and making the moves that they are making, it will possibly happen. They already have the whole ideology ideology that the cruise ship is the destination in icon class and somewhat of Oasis class. They also own a lot of the destinations as of right now. They're making big moves there. They're forming partnerships with, let's say, a big chunk of their clientele that brings in their revenue, that of which being the gamblers. So now with their partnership with Hard Rock, they're now going to bring in more people. It's honestly, like I said earlier, genius. In my humble opinion, I honestly think they already are number one when you look at it from a general perspective in the cruise ship industry. However, it is going to get to a point if they continue on this path that, like I said, people are going to think of Royal Caribbean when they think of cruise ships. So then there will potentially be Royal Caribbean and the other guys. And I'm talking about from people that are not in the cruise loop, that don't know about Carnival, that don't know about NCL, that don't know about Cunard, that don't know about MSC. You get my point here. The last point that I will bring up with Royal Caribbean is probably the biggest point here, and I've said this on several occasions. Royal Caribbean is number one when it comes to the cruise ship space and social media as well. And that's a big deal because in these days, in 2024, in the digital revolution, this is where the people are. Everybody is on social media. They also have the backing of the influencers, and that is not going to change anytime soon. What are the companies going to do until AI comes in? They're going to go back to making commercials? No. They're going to continue to get people with large followings, big and free cruises. That way they can show it off and show off the ship and show off the company to their liking, pay them a little bit of money, which would probably be significantly less than they would pay some other company that is going to promote for them, make commercials for them, and they are going to continue to prosper. By the way, just to make it clear, there are amazing things going on throughout the entire cruise ship industry. We have the Norwegian Aqua coming out this year, Carnival Celebration Key, a lot of people are excited for it, Virgin's fourth ship, Brilliant Lady. We have the World America coming out from MSC, which I gotta make a separate video on that. MSC is also making some big moves down the pipeline. We'll talk about it soon enough. But of course, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out, subscribe if you haven't already, and know as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.